Hi, I'm Bybreen Samuels and welcome back to another episode of Soul Stirring Astrology, where I give you my textured take on the world of astrology. Where in a few days' time, that's on April the 11th, there will be a full moon in Libra, and it's a really potent, powerful moon because we've got a T-square, and the planet at the apex of the T-square is Pluto, and Pluto is all about power, regeneration, rebirth, destruction and rebirthing in a new way. So although it's an air full moon, which means that the moon is in one sign and opposite we've got the sun, which is conjunct Uranus in Aries. So we've got this dichotomy going on between the first house and the seventh house. So we've got this sense of the unique blend of who you are and the definitive way in which you need to show up, versus we've got this air moon whereby there's a sense of pleasing other people in relationships. Also, the moon forms a conjunction with Jupiter. Now, the interesting thing about this T-square is that it is a cardinal T-square, and the missing element is Cancer. And the reason for this, as I said, is that we've got Pluto. Pluto is in Capricorn, and the opposing sign to Capricorn is Cancer. And so when we think about Pluto, Pluto is about the soul, where you've come from and how you've shown up in this world. And in order to balance out Pluto, but also to balance out this T-square, you need to look at the opposing sign to where Pluto is, and the opposing sign is Cancer. So the missing element here is water, and it's a caring, nurturing water, and it's a sense of being regressed back into the past to give you a sense of safety. So let me unpick all of this. So as I said, we've got this conjunction between the moon and Jupiter. So with the moon here, there's a sense of being really deferential and pleasing to people who you're having relationships with. That could be your intimate relationships or your social relationships, because we've got Jupiter there, and Jupiter, as you know, has been in Libra since October, and this is the sign of friendship and balance and harmony. Now, you need to be careful here because you've got this moon conjuncting Jupiter, and what this could suggest is that you may be prone to being manipulative in terms of how you get other people to do what it is that you want to do, but not necessarily what they want to do. So I can highlight this bit with the mythological story of Zeus and Hera. So one day Hera was out in the cold and she saw this cuckoo, and the cuckoo flew to her and she held the cuckoo to her breast. And it transpires that the cuckoo was actually Zeus, and so when she held the bird to her chest, Zeus appeared in human form. So Hera was quite taken aback by this, but she was quite astute. So if Zeus wanted her affections, the only way that he could get them is if he married her. And he did marry her. However, there were problems within the relationship because Zeus was a philanderer and Hera was really jealous. And what this can signify is that you might weave somebody into your web of relationship, but that person might be seeking freedom. So one person is seeking freedom and the other one is about staying at home and dealing with the sense of freedom, but having difficulty in which to do that. So this sense of freedom, you might have a partner that wants to roam in the world, but wants a sense of security, and it's about how you navigate that. Now, there's a square going on between this conjunction between Moon and Jupiter, and it's squaring Pluto. As I said, that's the planet at the apex of this T-square. And so, showing up in the natural natal chart, because we've got the Sun in Aries in the first house, which means that this Moon and Jupiter are forming a square to Pluto between the 7th and the 10th house. So there's a tension here in terms of the desire to have relationships, but you could be so focused on your career that you're not paying the right amounts of attention, or you're not finding a balance in life, because don't forget that Libra deals with extremities, and what you're trying to do is to find that middle ground. And whether it's in your world of work, the public face, which Pluto is showing up in Capricorn, wanting to be recognized, or within your personal relationships, as I said, the missing element here is Cancer. So the element that's required both in your world of work but also in your relationships is this sense of nurturing, is this sense of being receptive to love and warmth and stability, particularly emotional stability. And here we've got Capricorn, and Capricorn is, sorry, not Capricorn, Cancer is in the 4th house, which reflects the home. So it could be your literal home, that you want people to feel relaxed within your literal home. It could be that you're journeying back into your early childhood, and their memories around the early childhood could be evoked during this full moon cycle. Also, you might have a desire on it or an interest in archaeology or real estate or ancestry. So there's a sense of unearthing the past, things that represent the past, that will enable you to feel more anchored, because this full moon, although it's in air and the sun is in fire, it's in Aries, it's actually set in the context of, it's an earthed full moon. And what I mean by that is because there's Pluto, there's Mars, as well as the North Node and Mercury, all in Earth signs. So they are the context that is showing up for this full moon. And so there's a sense of being airy with the moon and wanting to be pleasing to other people, but then there's this context in which you're operating in, which is very earth, very grounded and very practical. So it's calling on you to be real in some ways. So, you know, the fantasy might seem okay, but what are the realities within your relationship status, but also within your world of work, but particularly in terms of your status in the world. Now, the other side of this T-square, we've got Pluto, and it's forming a square with the Sun and Uranus, who are both in Aries in the 1st house. So there is this very definitive, very dramatic, and also very initiating approach to who you are and what your identity is about. Now, the T-square and the missing element of Cancer are all set in cardinal signs, so which means that there's this real sense of compulsion, urgency, self-definition. And so if we think about this 1st house and 7th house axis, where there is this sense of the moon wanting to be pleasing and supporting other people and being deferential within relationships, this 1st house, and particularly because Uranus is there, which is stirring up the unpredictability or the eccentricity within your identity, which demands that you show that to the world. Now, as I said, there's a square going on. So with Pluto at the apex, Pluto is in Capricorn. So here it is, the sign of power in terms of your public face. And so there's a tension here between the public expectations of who the world thinks you should be, together with this tension, this inner turmoil that's going on, because we've got the Sun and Uranus in the 1st house, which really wants to break free of conventions and expectations. And it's about how do you find a way to balance that. And also it deals with the square that's been ongoing with Pluto and Uranus, which both deal with this sense of the higher mind. We've got Uranus here wanting you to rise above and gain a sense of who you are, but also take a 360 panoramic view of what's going on around you. And then there's Pluto, and Pluto is about regenerating the identity, regenerating conventions and norms. And so it's about how do you navigate, how do you mediate this particular terrain. Now, you can be assisted because we have Saturn, and Saturn is in the 9th house here, and Saturn's in Sagittarius. And here it's about whichever identity you choose to stand up for. Saturn is saying you can go for it, you can believe in who you are constructing, you can believe in your philosophies and your identities, and you need to be confident in terms of putting out your sense of authority over who you are in the world. And Saturn is forming a trine with Uranus, so there's this wonderful blend of the old sits very comfortably with this new way forward, this new identity. So it's about you're able to blend the two once you're able to reconcile this Pluto and Sun Uranus square that's going on. We also have Chiron, and Chiron is forming a conjunction with Venus, and Venus is also squaring Saturn. So if we deal with Chiron and Venus, so here there's this depth of sensitivity and a way that you're able to be inspired through what could have been quite problematic, sensitive or painful relationships. But as a result of this, you have a deeper sense of who you are, a deeper sense of appreciation of the things that you value, because it's come from, or it's come through, a period of pain. Now, once you're able to ground that and really know what that's about, and as I said, you've got this context of an earthed environment in which it's taking place, then we've got this square between Venus and Saturn. And so for some, they might think of it as like doomed love or restricted love, but it could also be an indication of how do you grow up into love. Now that you've sort of worked out and mediated this tension and this sensitivity between Venus and Chiron, and don't forget they are in Pisces, so there's a sense of the collective feelings, what's in the zeitgeist, how you're picking up on that, how you're using the zeitgeist to feed into your sensitivities that give you a sense of profundity. Then you're able to step back, ground yourself in the earth energy, and then look to the square that's been formed with Saturn in Sagittarius. And so there's a very philosophical approach to love, and philosophical but being real about what takes place within your relationships. And it's also about you not having these real high ideals that not even you can live up to, much less the person who is your love interest. It's also an indication that once you've been able to work through this, that it could transpire that the relationship could be quite a serious relationship, because Saturn is about authority, but Saturn's about responsibility. It's not a fleeting throwaway love, it's a meaningful love that could arise from this particular context. Then we have Mercury, and Mercury is forming a trine with the North Node, and the North Node is in Virgo, and the North Node is about pulling you in this future direction, pulling you into who you are meant to be, pulling you into your sense of self-leadership, self-ownership. And then with Mercury here, Mercury's in Taurus, so it's earthed again. So it's about being really practical. What practical thoughts and steps can you take to realise this new pathway that the North Node in Virgo is opening up for you? Because once you're able to crack that, anchor that, don't forget that the North Node moves into Leo later on this year, and here the spotlight will be on you for the next 18 months. So if you're working with the energies in a way that they're guiding you, some of them are compelling you, some of them are booting you in the behind, to really own the sense of who you are, work out the sensitivities, move through your eye of the needle once you've got to the other side, and then there's a sense of complete ownership over who you are. So that brings me to the quote of the day, and the quote of the day is by Mahatma Gandhi, and what he said is, "Every night I go to sleep, I die, and every morning I wake up and I am reborn." So because we've got Pluto, which is this pivotal planet that is really anchoring and shaping this full moon in Libra, it's a sense of which aspect, which brings me to the question of the day, which area or which aspect of your life needs to be regenerated? So as always, put your comments and answers in the comment box below. You know, I love to connect with you. Feel free, please, to share this episode with anyone in your network, and you can like and subscribe to my channel. Also, if you'd like a personal reading, drop me an email at bybreensamuels@googlemail.com. And also, I do hang out on other social media platforms, so I'm quite active on Instagram. So if you want to come and hang out with me on Instagram, you can also find me on any of the social media channels with my name, Bybreen Samuels. So until then, really enjoy this full moon that's taking place on April the 11th, and think about which aspect of your world needs to be regenerated. Until then, have a fabulous time, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye.